what do I expect, you know? And society doesn't help me because they supported my feelings of shame anyway, you know, what were you wearing, drinking, who were you with? So I lived with that guilt and shame for years, but the forgiveness was really for me. It's for giving me a better way to see it, a better understanding.
Right, right. That's so true for you. Yes. And it's funny, you know, I think about guilt and shame a lot. And because I have felt those two things as well. And, you know, I also have I also have two daughters, and, you know, we talk about shame, you know, it's because it's part of our society, you know, so it's so ingrained, and it's kind of like we unlearn it, you know. And anyway, what my point is that if I don't know if it's possible, but like my ideal is to take shame out of the equation somehow, you know, like if we fully accept ourselves and love ourselves no matter what happens, you know, and know that another does, or even if it's just alone, us in and of ourselves, I feel like then nobody can actually shame you because you have risen above that, or, you know, I don't know if it's above or below, but you know what I mean? Like,
and actually nobody really shames us. We do it to ourselves.
Exactly.
And it was really my decision to choose to not let it define me. You know, I made a choice that I would live my life. I would have a good life as well as I could. Or, we do have to work the trauma out of our body, you know, and I want people to realize I didn't get here overnight. It hasn't been, it hasn't happened overnight. It's been a process to get to where I'm at, but it is possible to get there.
Yes, definitely. And that's why your story is so important, because, you know, I have met some people who have told me similar stories, and they're still afraid to talk about it. And that was also another reason why I think it's so important. I'm so grateful that you wrote this book and that you're speaking out about it and going I mean, it's really needed, you know. Thank you so much.
Well, the single thing that I did, I think, and I would tell anyone that helped me the most, was to find my voice. You know, if you can just find anyone, doesn't have to be a therapist, a good friend, or even just tell yourself, write it down, air your story, give it oxygen, don't keep it trapped inside you. You know, you don't want to die with a song inside your body. You have to let it out. But so the more I speak about it, actually all my shame is shattered. Every time I speak, I actually get stronger. So the very thing that I was so scared to do is the thing that has grown me, if that makes sense.
No, that's so true. I found that as well in my own life, that the thing that frightened, actually I feel like my pain is actually my power. You know, the deepest pain that I've felt has been my power, and not everyone understands that and I know that I didn't when I was in fear, when I was afraid to speak out or afraid to go into my darkness. But really, that's where the power is.
Yeah, I saw that the way in for me was going to be my way out. So I had to really face all these pictures and nightmares and memories that were coming back, because they hold so much energy, and it was to take the sting out of that energy. So a little bit like exposure therapy, I suppose. So I just watched the show. I just watched all the pictures that were coming and the images. And after a while I thought, okay, you know, that's it. I'm done. I can't see anymore. And I'm not what they did to me, and my body, I'm much more than that. You know, I couldn't trust my mind. What is our mind? If we cut it open, it doesn't bleed. Our mind doesn't help us, you know. So, yeah, I just got to a point where I decided, I really chose that I just will not allow it to influence my life in any way. And if I have a choice, then we all have a choice, because I believe it's not what happens to us, it's what we do with it that really matters.
Right. That's so true. What we do with it really matters. Thank you for that. That's an important
And if we
quote.
choose to, you know, we can get past anything in life.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And it's so important that you say that we have a choice, because, you know, people say, even in, you know, in Hebrew, there's like, oh, there's no choice. There's always a choice. We always have a choice, and we choose what's the best thing to do. We make that decision.
Yeah. I mean, as I said before, you do need to work the trauma out of your body. And I didn't get here overnight. It has been a process of many different types of therapies. But at the end of the day, when I had worked it as much as I could, I saw that I had a choice. I could stay stuck in my anger, my hate, and my revenge, which was having no impact on the two men that raped me. They would have no idea that I was harboring all this hate towards them. The only person that was hurting was me, my husband, my kids, my friends. And yeah, I decided I could let that all go as well.
Yes, that's fantastic. That's such a transformation, and I think that you know, I don't know, it just keeps coming to me that like just that feeling of being stuck, you know, and how I know I've felt stuck sometimes of like, and sometimes I've even felt like there's what's the word? I'm being strangled. Yeah, I'm not physically being strangled. No one has their hands on me, but I could not speak.
Yeah, yeah. It's really, really hard to find your voice because we're not in a society that encourages it as well. You know, people don't want to hear about these kind of things. But, you know, every day I will get a message from a survivor, man or woman, sharing their story with me. So I know it's the story of many, many people. But it was the courage of somebody else speaking out that helped me to find my voice. And I want to pay that forward. And then since I've helped other people, they're now writing blogs or speaking, and they're helping other people. So there is an army of silence breakers growing. There's more and more of us that are speaking out, and that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, I feel that, and I think we might have spoken about this in our private discussion, but you know, there is a new energy. You know, I've been feeling it for a long time, and now I'm feeling like it's coming to a new height. Where
the consciousness has been raised. Nobody could not have heard of Me Too. I mean, it's everywhere, the hashtag, and yes, it's everybody now is aware, and I hope that things will change in environments, workplaces, you know, wherever, social events, that it's not just women that have to be the ones that stop the bad behavior. It's up to the good, non-abusive men as well to say, hang on, you can't make that joke. That's a rape joke. Hang on, you can't treat her like that. Stop touching her. She's not interested. Leave her alone. You know, they need to step up as well and help their sisters.
Right. It's you know, and even simple things, you know, just like you know, my kids go to school, and you know, I'm sure you hear this possibly with your daughters, but you know, just the peer pressure of, you know, wanting to look a certain way or be a certain thing, you know, and even today we were having a discussion, you know, like who you are, whether you're clothed or not clothed, like you are perfect the way you are, you know. And
absolutely.
I don't know why. I just feel like it's so ingrained in me to like have to be in a certain you know, venue and have to look a certain way, and I'm refusing. And I'm even saying to my daughters, it's your choice. You know, I'm not even asking you anymore.
Good. Because then we just become like sheep, don't we?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And
I understand it's maybe safety in numbers if we're all the same as a group mentality, but it will go. They'll soon want to be independent again.
Yeah, I know. But I think that it's the same thing, right? It's the same side of the coin. Like whether, you know, do you want to stand in your full power, or do you want to be like all the rest, you know? And
but I think when they're little, it's about confidence, to be individual, you know, and if you're really quirky, then people kind of question that as well. But it's really hard. So we're teaching that from a young age, you know, we're not encouraging people to find their voice at all.
I know.
To be who you are. We're teaching them to conform and all to blend and all to be the same, and is safety in numbers, and, you know, better with lots of people in a group. But yeah, it's good to be. It's finally taken me all this time to now I really don't care who knows my story. You know, actually writing it and speaking about it is the very thing that saved me, you know, because the more I shared it in the very beginning, it just diluted all the shame and guilt. And now it's not really, so I don't care if people know.
Right. I mean, that's your power. You went through this and you've healed, and now you're able to, you know, talk with and help millions, I'm sure, whoever reads your book, anywhere you go. I mean,
I hope so. I really hope so.
I know so. I mean, I feel it. I feel like there is, people are reading, you know, they may be silent, but that doesn't mean that you're not helping them.
Yeah. Well, I know every time I speak, at least a handful, 3, 4, 5 people will speak to me, or they'll ask me questions at the end, or they'll find me in the break and they'll ask me questions or share something with me every time, wherever I go. Or even when my story first came out, before the book came out, people would send me messages, and every day as well, like I said before, I get messages. So, yeah. It's not easy for people to find their voice. And actually just yesterday somebody said, thank you now for giving me the strength to look at what I need to look at and to start my healing journey. So, and she's a woman that I go to help me with something else, hormones, but she's like she works with homeopathy, and you look at her and think she's really together. So we never know what's going on for anyone.
Right. And I feel, I don't know, I mean, how you feel about this, but I feel like I've done a lot of personal development this past year, and probably throughout my life, but really in a very concentrated way. And but I feel like all my life there's going to be something that needs to be healed. There's always going to be. I don't really know if there's anything as like we are. We're clean now. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I believe that.
Well, the rape, I have to say, does not affect me in any level, in any way at all now. But I don't think we ever want to get complacent. I think we're always going to be learning. Right. On a scale of 1 to 10, I always want to be about 7. I want to know stuff, but I always want to learn stuff as well. I never want to be at a 10, because then it'd be so boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know. That's how I feel too. There's always something new to learn.
Every day's a school day.
Yeah, and I think we have so much to learn from each other. I mean, that's why I love talking with any being, any person, because we're sharing, we're supporting each other. I don't believe anything happens by coincidence. We're all meant to live on a certain path.
I know, I agree with that, and I love the synchronicity of life, how it puts me together with someone who says, come on my show, do a podcast, and then we have all these amazing connections. It's just great. I love it.
Yeah, so Madeleine and I talked a few days ago, last week it must have been, and then I was interested in something else. She referred me to a couple of her friends, and so you're going to be hearing from them too on this podcast.
It's the ripple effect, isn't it? It's great.
Yeah, exactly. It's wonderful, and it's just it makes me feel alive. The sadness somehow it opens up another part of ourselves, I believe.
Yeah.
And we were also talking, I wanted to just add this in before we close, is about our body healing and our what's inside. I feel sometimes generations of happenings, I don't want to say pain, because it may not always be pain, but there's generations of healing that we're all doing. So maybe you can talk to that a little bit during your healing journey.
Yeah, well, I didn't so much feel all the generational pain within me, but I had to really work my stuff through the body. When I went back for therapy, when Anna was 13, my therapist suggested to me that it would be a good idea to go for body work, therapeutic massage, because I really, as I said, I couldn't trust my mind, and I was just refusing to believe these memories, pictures that were coming back. So the very first time I went, I lay on the massage couch, and she started, and I could hear this person screaming and shouting and kicking and crying. And then I realized it was me. All that was coming from me. And I saw that, all the energy is trapped in our cells. It's all in our body. And what we don't speak about or work out, it's in there. So if you get a migraine or stomach conditions or bad back, it could possibly be linked to some pain or some trauma that's just trapped. So for me, it was very powerful. So I did a lot of therapeutic massage. I did transformational breath work, which one session was like 10 sessions of therapy. The fear that was present in those sessions was just huge. My hands would just go into total shutdown. I couldn't open my fists, and he said it's just the fear, but they were like paralyzed. I couldn't open them, and so that showed me that I couldn't trust my mind, but I could trust my body. I did a lot of sweat lodges because I hated the dark. So I thought this is a way to get used to the dark. I do things in extremes. When I saw that I was really, really scared, I decided that what would be the point of bringing my 3 girls into this world if I still carry all this fear? And when I really examined my fear, I saw that a lot of my fear was based on what had happened to me. And a lot of my fear was then based on what could happen to me. And none of it was real. It was really all my imagination. So I put myself into situations where I'd be faced with the things that I thought I couldn't be faced with, which were being out of control and being with men. So I was training to be a counselor, a psychotherapist, and I hardly saw male clients, and I just said from now on I only want to work with men. So I would work with as many men as possible. I started to go to karate because I thought that's a safe way to be around men. And still now, it's now 12 years later, there's maybe 2 or 3 women and the